Hi everyone, welcome back. Today is Tuesday, April 28th, and we are going to be doing our pretty much the last lesson in our line plot topic. We are doing lesson 11.3, which involves using line plots to actually solve problems. So let's take a look at the solve and share. I am on page 603, 603. So you should have that page out in front of you for your guided notes today. All right, let's get started. So it says Mrs. Earle's class measured the lengths of 10 caterpillars in the school garden. The caterpillars had the following lengths in inches. So these are all of them. And then it says plot the lengths on the line plot, write and solve an equation to find the difference in length between the longest and shortest caterpillars. So I need to not only create a line plot, I need to not only plot my data on my line plot, but then I also need to answer a question and solve the problem. So they're giving me this line down here. And the first thing that we know that we need to do when making a line plot is kind of get a sense of our scale, our starting and ending point. So our lowest and our highest. So I'm looking here, it looks like my denominators are twos and fours, so halves and fourths. So I'm going to do fourths. It looks like there's no zero, but there is a one. And then, so one is our lowest, it seems. And then I have 1 1/4. I'll do 1 2/4, 1 3/4. 1 4/4 would be two. Oh, wait, no, one isn't my lowest. Look, 3/4 is my lowest. So we're definitely doing this into fourths, but I want to make sure that I have, let's see, it goes up, so it doesn't even go up to two. All right, so that gives me my lowest would be 3/4. So if I wanted to, I could start with 3/4 here. And then 4/4 would come next, which is one whole, right? And then I want to do 1 1/4. And then I want to do 1 2/4, which would also be the same as 1 1/2, right? It doesn't really matter. Oh, I'm so sorry. Let me back up here. So I started with 3/4. Make this zoom out a little bit. It's easier for you to see both. Okay. Then I'm going by fourths, right? So I'm going to go to 1, and then 1 1/4, 1 2/4, 1 3/4, and then 1 4/4, which would be 2. Okay, and I don't have anything above 2, so I can stop. All right. So now I'm going to look at my data and my line plot. I know that my scale, I've already done that, and I know I want to label with what we're doing here, inches. And then the title of this could be caterpillar lengths or caterpillars, right? That could be my title. I'm going to switch a color though to do my actual dots or X's. All right, now using this data up here, I want to plot it on my line plot. So I have 3/4, so I'm going to cross it out and make a dot. Okay, 1 1/4 is right here. Cross it out, make a dot. 1 3/4 would be here. Cross that out. 1 1/2 would be here. 1 is here. Another 1 would be there. 3/4, which is here. 1 1/4. 1 3/4. And then 1 1/2. Oh, look at that. All right. So there are no outliers. It's kind of interesting because it looks like she found 2 caterpillars at almost every single length. There were 2 caterpillars. How many caterpillars did she measure in all? Well, it did say 10, but I always like to double check that and just count. So I can count by twos here, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. So I know that's right. Okay, I'm ready to answer the question. The question said, what is the difference in length between the longest and shortest caterpillars? So the longest caterpillar was right here, one of these guys. So it was 1 3/4. And the shortest caterpillar was 3/4. And finding the difference means to subtract. This is actually a nice and easy problem. If I have 1 3/4 and I take away 3/4, I am left with 1. So 1 what? 1 inch. So 1 inch is my final answer. I like to circle it to make sure that they see that that is my final answer. And I'm done. So I was able to use this line plot to solve this problem. Did I have to make a line plot in order to solve the problem? No. I could have just looked at the data, kind of sorted, looked at the lowest and the highest and subtracted. But it's easy to miss things when you do it that way. So doing a line plot is just a really nice way to see all of your data at a glance, right? Very quickly and easily. All right, I would like you now to move on to page 605. We're only going to do the independent practice part. It's at the very bottom of the page. So you can see I kind of crossed off the top of this page. I'm going to fold it so that I can show it to you guys more easily. All right, so this is page 605. You should be following along with me. Everything that I'm doing, you should have the answers to as well, because you are going to be responsible for showing me all of this work at the end of the week. All right, here we go. We're using the line plot. I want to get a sense of my line plot. So I look at it. Oh, height of Dr. Chen's patients. Okay, he's measuring their height. It's in feet. So this is the shortest patient, and 6 feet is the, I guess, tallest patient that he has. 6 feet is pretty tall. It's like my husband is 6 feet tall. I'm only 5'3". I always wished I was a little bit taller, I'll be honest. All right. Anyway, what is the difference in height between the tallest and shortest patients? All right, so the tallest patient was 6 feet. Oops, sorry. Let me zoom in a little bit better for you. Okay, so the tallest here, there were 2 people actually that were 6 feet. So tallest is 6 feet. And the shortest is 4 1/4. Mine is 4 1/4. Okay, so our solve and share problem was really easy. But I look at this problem and I'm thinking, this is not so easy. Why is it not so easy? Well, the 6 has no fractional part to be able to subtract 1/4 from. So no big deal. I know how to solve these problems, luckily. So I am going to take my 6 and I am going to pull a hole out of my 6 and make it a 5. And then the hole that I pulled out, I'm going to put back in as my fractional part. And you see where I just painted my nails. I got all kinds of stuff all over. All right. So I'm pulling out one hole, but I'm going to think about that as 4/4. Why 4/4? Because fourths is my denominator. So I'm going to put it back in as a fraction, 4/4. Isn't 5 4/4 the same thing as 6? Yeah, right? So now I can subtract my holes. 5 minus 4 is 1. And now I could do my numerators. 4 minus 1 is 3. And I keep my same denominator. My label should be feet. And bam, there is my answer. And I'm going to circle it. All right. Oscar says 5 feet is the most common height Dr. Chen measured. Do you agree? All right, so I'm looking at 5. There are 3 dots, but is it the most common? No, I see more dots over this guy right here. So I am going to say no. The most common height is, oops, I'm falling. The most common height is 5 2/4 feet. Or you could say 5 1/2. And there you are. All right, the last page we're going to take a look at a few problems for today is the homework page. It is page 607. Okay, page 607. So please have that out in front of you now. All right, we're going to do these 2 problems below, and we're going to use this data set. It says, The table lists the length of time in seconds it takes for each student in Ms. Seuss's class to say the alphabet. Make a line plot for the data. So if we were in school, this is the part you'd be doing independently. I would love for you right now to pause this video, do these two problems, and then unpause the video and see if you got the same answer that I did. Okay, so please do that. Pause the video right now. Okay, hopefully you're not even listening to me talking right now. All right, so I'm going to solve this. I'm going to make a line plot. I'm going to look up here at my data set because I need to find my high and low. Okay, let's see. I have a 4. That seems pretty low. And it looks like it's going in halves. It goes all the way up to like 7 maybe. All right, so let's just get started. I'm going to start with a 4. And since I'm doing halves, so this will be 4.5, and then 5, and then 5.5, and then like a 6, and then maybe like a 6.5, and a 7, and a 7.5, and I'll put an 8 there just for the heck of it, but I don't think I have to go that high. Okay. Now I'm going to just label here. This is seconds, right? And this is, if I wanted to, I could put a title. I'm just not going to even bother though. Okay, and now I'm going to plot some points. I'm going to be sure to cross them out as I go. So this is a 5. So I find 5. I'm going to make my mark. That's a 4. 4.5. 6. 5. 6.5. 5.5. 7. 5.5. 7.5. 6. 4.5. Another 4.5. Another 4.5. A 4. A 6. 4.5. 5.5. 5. And a 6.5. Okay. Let me just count. I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Just want to double check I have all of my data points. And bam, I'm done. There's the line plot. All right, let's go on to number 2. Megan says the difference between the least amount of time it takes a student to say the alphabet and the greatest amount of time is 4.5 seconds. Do you agree? All right, well, let's try it. The greatest was this kid here who did 7.5 seconds. So they were the slowest. And the quickest time was 4 seconds. You know, it would be fun to actually do it and see if these are realistic numbers. All right, so I have a 7.5 minus a 4. Can I do this? And is it easy to do? Yeah, I can do this. 7 minus 4, so 4, 5, 6, 7 would be 3. And a half minus nothing is a half. So my answer is 3.5 seconds. So it's this girl, Megan, said that 4.5 seconds was the difference. I got 3.5 seconds. So do I agree with her? No, I do not agree with Megan. It was 3.5 seconds. And there's my answer. All right, guys, it is time now for you to take your practice test. You are going to go on to Pearson Realize, and I'm just going to show you really quickly. Your practice test is something that I made up for you using similar questions that are going to be on your real test. So you really, really want to take your time on this, and there's also motivation for you to take your time. I'm probably going to, no, we have our real test on Thursday. what I am going to do is I am going to take whatever grade is higher, either your practice test grade or your real test grade, and I will probably use that as your real test grade. So, let's see, where is it? Oh, here it is, line plot practice test. This is what the practice test is. It's like very, very similar to the real test. So if, if you're doing well, then you're going to do really well on the real test too. But the real test, I think, has a fewer questions. So it might be possible like to get a higher grade on the practice test. In that case, I would then use that grade as your real test grade, which would be great for you. In going through this, you can notice here, if you look down below, there are 13 questions. However, some of them have like multiple parts, so be sure to answer all the parts. Also, some of these practice problems and the problems that are on the real test are annoying. All right, I'm just going to come out and say it, meaning that there's a lot to look at. It's not going to be like click, 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 I can get the answer. You actually have to slow it down and really take a look at what they want you to do. So it says, use the data in the table to complete the line plot. And then what is the length of the longest piece of bark? And what is the shortest length? So the longest and the shortest. So you need to first click. Wherever it says click, you need to click. So it has this. You can like move it to the side if you want. I think you're able to do that, right? You're able to, it says print. I don't really think you need to print it, but you can move it around at least so you can see the other things. And then there was also, okay, so then this is a line plot that is completely not done. Now, if I were you, I would take this line plot and I would just sketch it on a scrap piece of paper. And then I would go to the data table and I would actually mark these lengths onto your scrap paper and see what it looks like. Then you can pick out the one that matches the one that you drew. Is it A, B, C, or D? And I think that's the best way to go about it. Instead of just like kind of glancing and trying to figure out which ones are different, it might be a little confusing to do that. Then don't forget to answer the part down here. The longest piece of bark is blank inches long. The shortest piece is blank inches long. Once you've done everything, then you can click the next button. Okay, so some of these are going to be really quick questions, like what is, the outlier? Okay, what is an outlier? We can clearly see it's this guy right over there, right? Because he's so far away from everything else. So you'll be able to quickly click your answer and then move on. But not every question on this practice test is a quick click. All right, so make sure that you're reading because you do want to get a good grade on this. All right, guys, that's all for today. I hope you have a wonderful day and I will see you tomorrow.